Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dynamic Character Productions as we wrap up our Moneta Bank coverage with our production draft recap. I have reassembled the majority of our production drafters. Erik couldn't be here today, but that's okay. And we're just going to go over our impressions of the season, what we thought, how we thought everyone played, and whether they met our expectations, were cut short of our expectations for one reason or another, or maybe didn't quite get to where we wanted them to. How's everyone doing today? Let's start with the pleasantries. How are you lovely production members doing today?
So good.
Fantastic.
Can't believe the season's over.
I got my Garza shirt on and I'm
Yeah.
All right, shall we get into it? I mean, first off, let's just get in here a little bit. Overall impressions of the season. Moneta Bank. Jump in, any of you. How did you like the season? Actually, you know what? Let's start with Austin. Let's start with Austin because this is Austin's first season on production. So, Austin, your impressions of being on this side of the mini.
I absolutely loved being on this side of things for once. Having played twice in a row, I was very excited to get to see a brand new group of all newbies come in here. And I had a very interesting perspective on things because I was locked away in the vault for a vast majority of the game. So I still got to kind of enjoy the watching it back, almost from a viewer's perspective still, because I still didn't know a whole lot of all of the strategy that went down. So I really enjoyed watching it back.
Fantastic. Anyone else? How did you feel about the season? Any highlights that you want to focus on before we get into talking about each of these players individually?
I think it was our best season yet. I mean, I thought it was so much fun to watch. And I had two of my best friends playing, which is pretty cool. So now we've seen Karen and Karli and Kayla. And I know, what best friend am I gonna have play next?
Fantastic question, Carrie. But they're gonna have to deal with my best friends because we also had another one of them play this time. We had Kyle come in and join the ranks of John and Selkirk and Maddie as people I've brought into the cast, and that man's smile might be the most infectious smile in the entire world because you see him grinning and you just want to grin along with him.
Mm-hmm. He delivered.
He did.
As John's friends always do.
All right. Well, Lily, we'll get to your friend in a moment here because I think your friend was actually one of the best finds for this season. In my opinion, I absolutely loved Emily, but we'll get into Emily's game pretty quickly here, unfortunately. So let's start just going through the boot order here. Who drafted Jenn?
I did. And I think Jenn's, obviously her game was cut short. Unfortunately, she was the first boot, but watching it back and watching her after the snuff with John was really insightful just to see her perspective on the game. And yeah, so I think she was cut short, enjoyed her while she was here, but unfortunately there's not much more to say on behalf of her game.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of obviously interviewing her for After the Snuff, and Jenn is an absolute delight in every which way possible. She is so amusing, so insightful, and it's really unfortunate that she ended up being this collateral damage at the beginning of the game in that the hardest round to navigate, where you just have to hope you're not the name that comes out, essentially. I know everyone on production was incredibly high on Jenn going into the season. Honestly, I don't think we've ever had a character like Jenn before, and we never will again.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, we get to my first draft pick now, which is our good friend Rob, who was robbed by a unfortunate tribe swap, in which he ended up being the sole Oro member on the new Argento tribe. I had high hopes for Rob. I obviously have known Rob for a couple of years now, know what he's capable of in a game like this, and seeing him swap screwed like this, and like, it's not a term I like using when talking about Survivor because it is part of the game. But this was just one of those unfortunate circumstances where the other person who's coming back into the game was also from his original tribe. So it's not a great situation to be in. Very unfortunate. But, I mean, someone has to go here. Sorry, it was you, Rob. Harry, you have a lot of experience with Rob. How did you feel he played the game?
Okay, I was really impressed with how he absolutely did not give up. Like when he kind of like saw what was happening and he was like, oh my God, it's gonna be me. But he fought the entire round trying to get numbers behind him. It was actually so funny, like watching him scramble. And this is like just such a Rob thing where he would be like, please, 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 like, let's figure something out. Let's figure something out. By the way, where are you from? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about that sports team? Come on, please just play with me. Like it was so funny. And that's just like such a Rob thing. Like he's just like a funny guy and he likes to make connections with people and find similarities with people. But I was really impressed with, he knew he really didn't have much of a shot, but he really didn't give up.
That takes us to our next draft pick, Emily. Who ended up taking Emily?
That was
We'll let you
me.
talk about it.
This obviously did not go the way that I wanted it to. We lost somebody who I thought had some of the highest winner potential that we had on the cast, at least from my perspective. I really thought Emily could have gone all the way and would have gone very deep had she not gotten rocked out. Another sort of unfortunate swap situation, just a very chaotic tribe, I guess, to say the least. So, like you said, collateral damage. This is just how it went for her. The chaos caught up and she got unlucky.
But as she said, she did not get voted out, so she could tell her friends that she didn't actually lose.
That's true. And this was one of those situations where we've had a few rocks happen throughout our history at DCP here. But this was one of those situations where this was the most accidental rocks we have ever had. Where things just get so confused between everyone. No one knows that rocks is going to happen here. And unfortunately, we do lose someone who I agree with you, Kyle. I think Emily had winner written all over her if she was able to play this game, just by watching the way she navigated this round of, hey, I've changed to a new tribe. I can make more connections here. I can start talking to these people. She was so sociable and so intelligent. Honestly, just Rob. But Lilly, Emily's a friend of yours, who we were absolutely delighted to have in the cast. How did it feel watching her get rocked out in this situation? What did you think of her game?
Yeah, I mean, she played exactly how I thought she would play. She was loyal to, Naropa. She tried to do everything she could. I mean, even after she gets rocked out, you see people say like, oh, I didn't want her to go. I wanted to work with her. And she kind of just exudes that in her life. I mean, she's one of my dear and close friends, and she's just a great person. And I think that if your friend's going to get voted out, you want them to not get voted out. You want them to get rocked out, right? You want to give them some assurance that, people wanted you in the game. And I think that is the best way to go if you're going to go pre-merge, in my opinion. So, yeah. Just means she has to come back for more.
Absolutely. 100%. Emily, we want you back. It's inevitable. We are getting you back. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And that takes us to Naropa, who was Erik's pick, because Erik picked JD, who was supposed to be on the cast, and then JD wasn't there, and we were kind of scrambling. And Naropa answered the call to come in absolutely last minute, save the day, make it so that we don't have to rearrange everything. We can stick to everything we already had planned out. And I think Naropa impressed us beyond anything we expected for someone coming in blind to one of these games. He just went right for it, like balls to the wall, started playing hard. Yes, he was a little quieter on that original Argento tribe, but we saw him fight like heck during the Rocks round and the subsequent round where he gets voted out. I don't know what more there is to say about Naropa other than holy cow, what an amazing find that we didn't even know we were being robbed of as potentially not on this season. Kyle, dive in. Oh, what was that, Carrie?
Bring him back.
Bring him back, absolutely. Kyle, talk to us about Naropa as someone just coming into the game. How did you feel about the way he ended up playing this?
I thought that he played as well as he could have. He was one of the most well-positioned people on the original tribe, just had a sort of a natural aura about him that everybody seemed to gravitate to. And then at the swap, he was in the minority, but he managed to get Andy C on his side and caused the tie, which saved him at that Rocks round. And then at the next round, he did everything he could do. He was very, very persuasive. I remember watching him in that round, being very impressed during the conversations in the scramble round, but he was just outnumbered, and what can you do at that point?
All right, that takes us to Jabbar. Who drafted Jabbar? Austin, talk us through it.
I am absolutely thrilled with how Jabbar played. He was so fun to watch. Both of my people made the merge, so I'm very happy about that. My favorite thing about Jabbar was we definitely got robbed when it came to like viewership, I guess. He was so funny and so good in his confessionals. And I think he was just kind of, you know, a circumstance of how messy that Oro tribe was in the pre-merge and was just a target of the Argento majority come the merge. So I wish we would have gotten to see a lot more of him, but I'm very happy with how he played and very happy he was on my team.
Yeah, I agree. Jabbar really delivered. And I don't think it fully comes across in the edit how exciting of a player he is and how much his personality really shined in conversations like that he was having with people and also just in confessional as well. Carrie, Jabbar is someone from like the LRG world. How do you feel Jabbar handled this entire situation, especially with him knowing Kayla going into the game?
Yeah. Jabbar is so funny, just absolutely hilarious. And I really think if he hadn't been on such a messy tribe, I feel like he would have been like way, way deep in the merge, like easy, no problem. I mean, I'm happy that he made merge, but I feel like he had some more game left in him for sure.
I absolutely agree. Well, that takes it to me being the first production member eliminated from the draft with my next pick of Vogl, who I knew when I picked Vogl going into this draft, it was a risky pick. I knew he could be a very polarizing person, and boy, oh boy, did we see that this season. I think Vogl got on everyone's nerves at some point or other, and while there are a lot of people who saw the potential of working with Vogl, eventually his personality kind of just caught up to him, and everyone was just willing to cut him loose. He was pegged as incredibly strategic right from the get-go, and he didn't stop fighting with people until like after the game. We saw it even in not just after this stuff, but we saw it in the reunion too. I'm sure he's going to be in the comments of this commenting on how people played their games incorrectly by voting him out here. But it's still such a fantastic character to have in the season. It's very rare we get someone who really just sticks to their guns as hard as Vogl does, who is just such a classic villain the way Vogl is. It was really delightful to have him on the season. Lilly, how did you feel about the way Vogl approached this game?
Oh, Vogl. I mean, I think you're right. Like a lot of people that go into minis, especially a lot of these people we see play in our DCP games are newbies. And so they're a little hesitant and they take a step back. So it is kind of nice to have that personality right from the get-go. And it's great for viewership. Like I want to talk about all the things that Vogl says like and sticks to his guns because we play the total opposite. So I would love to sit there and just tell him how he's wrong and I'm right, and he can tell me that I'm wrong and he's right, and we can talk in circles. But that's what's great about this game, right? Is you have these people that have different perspectives and play so differently, but can still do very well. So I think he was great. You know, he knew he had a target on his back coming into the merge. You know, it was surprising that he didn't go when Jabbar did. So that was impressive that he was able to. Well, did he have immunity?
He did. He did have
Yeah.
immunity.
So
That
well,
was
he
when
got
Kayla and him
immunity,
wanted
but
immunity there.
I wonder if he even hadn't had immunity. Like I don't think they would have had wanted to vote him out right there, even though they knew he had to go. So he did maneuver the game better than people with those big personalities sometimes do, which was great to watch. But just like you said, a big personality really just helps the viewers get more involved in the game. They want to talk about it. And so he was a great addition to the cast.
That takes us to the casualty of our quick round, Andy Christensen, or Christian. Who had Andy?
I did.
Okay, Lily, lead us off with Andy.
Yeah, so I'm the next person out. Andy was my last man standing. I was excited to see Andy play, you know, again, the opposite of Andy V, who we were just talking about. Like he comes into the game having more fun. You know what I mean? He's a little bit more relaxed, but we do see the way paranoid side that kind of comes out of him, especially in that rock draw with where he takes Jabbar's idol and then uses it. Like there are these chaotic moments that he has, but the game would have been completely different had he not done that. And it was interesting to see, you know, a big thing that we haven't really talked about too much is the vault in this game and how different people kind of attacked the vault. And Andy C had a different way of doing it. He was taking all of these extra things and saying maybe the mutiny could help us as a whole, but we don't get to see that play out because well, they just keep losing. So it was interesting to see just how he played. Really enjoyed him. I think he was his time was his time. Even though we would have loved to watch him more, but it was great watching him play, and I was happy to have him on my draft.
Austin, you've previously played a game with Andy. Did he meet your expectations for this game? Did he exceed them? Did he not meet them?
I would say he probably went out right about where I thought he was going to. Um, it was really fun to watch him play from the other side of things versus playing with him. Um, I think he did pretty good. We're both eighth place finishers in our first DCP mini, so we played together and now we can share that too.
That's sweet.
That takes us into Yap, who was kind of the consequences of, you know, Kyle being immune and Kayla just, you know, deciding to use a safety without power to eat herself out of there, and no one really discussing who they should vote for. Instead, just Yap gets the vote there. Who had Yap on their team?
I had Yap on my team. No, yeah, Mr. William Yap. I want to tell you, I'm sorry. Now I got you. I had you last on my list to take going into the draft, but I took you ahead of where I thought I was going to because I had a feeling, but I did doubt you. You had a much better mind for the game than I expected. You were much better socially than I expected. You just kind of went out because you were on the bottom of your group, but you shouldn't have gone at that point. There were at least two people ahead of you that should have gone. And you were an absolute blast to watch the whole day. One of the most entertaining characters that we have ever had. I got tremendous value out of that pick. So thank you, William Yap, for what you brought to this season.
All right, well, let's rotate your computer over a little bit and have Kylie talk about Yap here next.
All right, so my favorite thing about Yap actually comes in my time in Pondy with Yap. I know we're supposed to be talking about their game, but I feel like that was good. The whole time in Pondy where I was at for most of the like post merge, Yap just like had a pillow on his head. And then like as the night went on, he just like added pillows. So he was like up here close to the screen with his microphone with just like balancing pillows. And I just feel like that is so funny and unlike anyone we've ever had. And it just kind of showed like he didn't take the game like too seriously, but he was playing hard while he was in, but still wanted to have fun even after. So I got a lot of laughs out of Yap. His game, I think, was pretty like, I don't know, he was kind of like not super exciting with his moves, but like in terms of the chaos, because there was a lot of chaotic characters this season, but he also wasn't like super subtle. So the time that he had with Evan, like I feel like he was a good like number one to him, but also like he wasn't making any like drastic moves, which I think is a good way to play a game, but in a mini, like it's probably going to get you at some point. So I think that was maybe a little bit of his downfall. But he was still like a little chaotic in his sayings and like confessionals and things like that. So it's still very fun to watch him play.
Not to mention his sassing of Alex the entire season is just gold.
That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie, what were you going to say?
Exactly that. My favorite thing about him was how sassy he was to Alex.
Yeah, absolute delight. Wonderful human being. Fantastic to have him this season. Next up is Simona, who was also on Erik's team. And as impressive as all these other players are, I'm sorry, Simona takes the cake for being impressive because Simona played this game until 5 o'clock in the morning, being over in Rome while playing this mini. And let me tell you, there is a moment in, I think, the Yap round where you really start seeing the energy suck away from Simona. And then as soon as Yap's gone, she is fired up again. She is going so hard in the round where she goes home. We saw her throughout that entire poster, and she had spot on reads of everyone in the cap. She knew exactly who was working with each other. She knew exactly who the threats were. We saw plenty of examples of her being like, guys, we have to vote out Kayla. We have to vote out Kayla. And nobody listening to her at all. Wonderful, wonderful character. So happy to have had her on the season. Carrie, what did you think of Simona here?
Simona was interesting because like I know she's played a ton of these and like her tribe like almost never went to tribal during like the tribal portion of the game. So she was like, I want to talk to people, I want to strategize, I like to strategize, you know. And then I feel like once we finally merged, it was so late for her. It's like she didn't even have like the energy to strategize at that point. But it was, you could definitely see like her deteriorating throughout the game. Poor thing. She was such a trooper though.
Absolutely. But it's okay because that wine tour was one of the most satisfying meals she's ever had afterwards. So well-deserved, Simona. Well-deserved. That takes us to our fifth place player, Kyle. Kylie, this is your pick, right?
Yeah, obviously. Yes. I don't know how to put it, but I mean, I gotta say, like, Kyle, I think is the most successful in terms of like characters and gameplay, maybe of all of John's friends. Like, maybe not family, but friends wise, like absolutely crushed it. He like very much exceeded my expectations. This is a entertainment pick for me, obviously. It was with Selkirk as well when I talked about him. I don't know if I had him on my draft team, but I think I did. I don't know. But anyway, Kyle more than delivered. He was such chaos. And like, I just never knew if he was like joking when he was saying things or if he was, because he's like smiling the whole time. So it's like, are you laughing or are you like being mischievous? So he was just so funny. But the gameplay was honestly like so entertaining. And a lot of times I do think he just did things without thinking about it. But it made me think like maybe he has like this master plan that like all this is falling into place. So I don't know. I think that he was like very unlike anyone we've ever had. Like I can't think of another game like in terms of like the moves, the things that he did, the things that he said. Like what did he say about when they voted out Vogl? It was like
Oh,
or no,
you guys seen the Mighty Ducks, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Exactly. So that was like so funny, and then like turned the V upside down or whatever for the other one. So it was just like so funny. But I love the partnership with Kayla. I like literally. I don't know. There's been a ton of great duos, obviously, and I don't know if we would necessarily consider them completely a dynamic duo, but I just feel like their story the whole time was so fun to watch. But yeah, fifth place is a great spot. So very impressed and very happy with my pick.
I think the impressive thing with Kyle this season is he's our man with 9 lives this season. There are so many times Kyle was like an inch away from getting voted out of this game, or things didn't break his way. There are many, many times when Kyle should have been voted out, but the fact that he gets the final 5 to a point where like him and Kayla are fighting for Sam's vote here, for Sam to make the decision on who goes. It's so impressive. I think Kyle and Kayla are easily one of the best dynamic duos we have had in DCP history. Not just from like a play level, but also just from an entertainment level, because together they just decided to ratchet up that entertainment so much.
Mm-hmm. You got anything to say, Kyle?
Hey,
Other Kyle.
Welcome to the fifth place club.
Oh, convenient. Future DCP players should know, if you're ever asked who the 5th boot on a season was, it's just easy to say Kyle now.
Might as well just guess that.
Yep. No, not fifth place.
5th place, that's the
But also been there too.
That takes us to Evan. Kylie, was this your pick too?
This is also me. Yeah, so when y'all were talking about friends earlier, my friend was also on the cast, Evan. I think Evan did so good. I had a little bit of higher hopes for him. I wanted him to follow in Brett's footsteps, not mine or Erik's, and get first place. But I'm also happy with the first place winner person. But yeah, Evan, I think, played a very good, solid game. He did really well at like playing the middle. He had a good social game. There were a lot of times, kind of like Simona, I think they both might have bonded over this a little bit, where like, since they weren't going to tribal a lot, like they wanted to strategize a bit more. So I think it may have helped him a bit if they had done that earlier, just to kind of get going a bit more. But overall, he did really well. And ultimately, like the very end, like he should have just been voted out and then had to go to fire. So that, like, I think was like proved kind of his place in the game. But I think that he has more to show also. Like, I think he had a really good game. I think that there was more that he could have done. I could definitely see him holding back at certain times because it was a mini, it was like, you know, fast paced. And also I don't think he wanted to put too big of a target on his back, but I think that there's like more to Evan that I think could make him like propel him, I guess, all the way to the end if he was able to show that. So I would like to see him again, but I think he did so good. I'm so proud of him. And I would pick him in every draft always because I love him.
Austin, how did you feel with Evan in this season? I mean, he was certainly a character, and he had a bagel come up many times.
Oh, we weren't going to mention the bagel. Just kidding.
He did. Everyone's talking about like Kayla and Kyle as like the best duo. I think it was Evan and his bagel. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Some of my favorite times in the vault was when Evan would come in and visit us. He was just so fun. He would just ramble on. And I was like, Evan, you know you have confessionals for this, but if you want to chill in here, that's fine. I loved Evan. He would very good game. Yeah.
All right. That takes us to Carrie. I think you have to talk on Karli here now.
Yes, that's true. Okay. I was really impressed with Karli, especially this being her first like ever game. I thought she had like way more strategy than I like expected her to have. I know she's definitely like a Survivor fan, but she's not like a Survivor like super fan, you know? And so I just like didn't really know how she was going to play the game, but I was just super impressed with how much strategy she had. And everyone really seemed to like her, so that was cool. I wasn't surprised by that. She's easy to like. And she and Evan's cute little friendship was just like the highlight of my day. Like they were just like adorable together and they absolutely adored each other. And that was all really fun. Karli's a really good talker, and I feel like that came through. I don't know, what else do I say about Karli? I was just like so impressed with how she did, and I was so happy that she had such a good experience and made it so far. But it was so heartbreaking when she was like, this is my final vote, and now I'm gonna go to FTC. And then McKenna and Alex were both like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know it's a final too. It was so much fun though. Really fun watching her.
Lily is another like powerhouse female player we've had in our games. How did it feel inducting Karli into that magnitude of player?
I think Karli, I mean, I'm like thoroughly impressed by her gameplay. And I think what really shines through is the round where she got stuck but in the well, I think it was.
Mhm.
And people were like, I have to go talk to Karli. If it was any other player, they might have been forgotten in the discussion of that round. But we see continually in conversations, in people's confessionals, that they're like, I have to go to the well. I have to talk to Karli because she can't come find me. And I think that just speaks to her gameplay, social and strategic. Like, people wanted to talk game with her. They wanted to talk to her, which I think just what Carrie said, like, that's just her in real life. And that really like shined through in the game. And, I was really impressed by her gameplay. I think, if I had, what did we say? Like oh my gosh, I don't know, Rushmore, she would have,
Mhm.
she's now on my Mount Rushmore of players in DCP, I would say, just by the way she took this game by the horns. Why am I so bad at sayings right now? She just like took it and ran, and it was,
Yeah.
it was great. I'm going to stop talking, but I love her game.
Yeah, it would have been very interesting to see how things would have played out at Final Tribal Council had this been a Final 3 instead of just the Final 2. But let's get into that Final 2. Let's talk about our runner-up, Sam. Austin, Sam was your pick, right?
That was me. I am so happy with how Sam played. Uh, being my first time drafting, I will take having the second place finisher. Um, I was so excited for Sam coming into the game. He watched like so many of the seasons beforehand to prepare. He played a great game. He had a very full experience. Um, was on both tribes in the pre-merge, went to exile, got some advantages, made it all the way to final tribal council in his very first game, um, won the final four fire making challenge. He got to put his extreme flip cup testing to the test, and pulled it out. So I'm very happy to have had Sam on my team and was very, very, very excited with how he played.
Yeah, Sam is a new, like, first-time player. Played this really impressive under the radar game where he could have been lost the entire time. And instead, we see him get into this point where yes, there are many times throughout the post-merge we see him, I need to make a move. I need to make a move. I have to do something in order to differentiate myself from everyone and make it seem like I'm actually active in this game. And at Final 5 is that big moment for him. And it's a very interesting strategy for him, rather than be like, okay, this is how I want this vote to go. He's saying, I'm going to let you two decide. Like, you four, figure out the two who are getting votes, and I will place the deciding factor. You just are at my whim. That's a gutsy move. That is such a gutsy move that I don't think it's the respect it really deserves. It doesn't seem like he's really like pushing a vote and deciding, but all the power in that vote came down to Sam. Well, Carrie, that takes us to our winner, your other best friend who is playing, because Carrie managed to pick first and third this season. Talk to us about Kayla.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Kayla is so funny. So she told us that before she started this game, she had a sticky note that she put by her computer that it said something like, be patient, listen to other people, be kind. And then it was like the first vote of the game. And she was like, nope, I'm not doing any of those things. go for full chaos. And I don't think she would have taken that route if she hadn't met Kyle. And she met Kyle and he was like so outspoken and also chaotic. And she was like, whoa, this is great. This is gonna be so much fun. I love the way she played the vault. So, I mean, besides the fact that she just had like a million coins left to her, but like she would like go to the vault and then someone else would go in and then she would go back in to figure out what they bought. And then she was like following people in and out of the vault. I thought that was so funny. Like that's definitely like a different way to play the vault. So much of her game was just like top-notch entertainment. Like she had to have been like the funniest person for me to watch. Like the expressions, like the things she was saying, how she would get like so fired up and stressed out. Like it was all just like top tier. Loved it.
Kyle, you're our resident historian here at DCP. How does Kayla stack up with the rest of the winners we've had?
Whoa.
Wow. I would say Kayla is one of our more unique winners, both in personality and the path to their victory, because this was our most chaotic season. I think just a lot of different advantages, which she used, I think probably better than anybody. The vault, you know, her original tribe, she had to manage a lot of different personalities, including her own, you know, and keep her keep her social game intact. So watching her path to the end was unlike watching anybody else's to get to the end. That's a win, a victory that I don't know if it could be repeated. So this was one of the most exciting paths to victory that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, to cap it all off, I mean, 4 individual immunity wins. Like you said, in and out of the vault, visiting Austin every single round, multiple times around to figure out what everyone's doing in the game. Kayla, well-deserved victory. And Carrie, well-deserved victory for this production draft. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're the winner. You're so much smarter than the rest of us. You get to put it to use next time we have a draft, because all the power lies in you to decide where that draft order goes. And to all of you loyal DCP watchers, thank you for tuning into Moneta Bank. I hope you enjoyed this season as much as we did. And because you know what? It's over now. That's it. Moneta Bank is officially done now that you've seen this. But don't worry, we have something cooking real soon for you. Stay tuned. Lots of fun coming from our next long game. Can't wait to break it down for all of you and after the snuff. Thank you again for a lovely season production. Everything you do, obviously, we can't do. None of us can do this without each and every one of you. And all the players in Moneta Bank, you should all be incredibly proud of the games you played. They were fantastic. Stay tuned because you're in for another good season coming up next.